Arthur Sterling, a 52-year-old titan who carved out his own empire. For him, fear was an almost unknown word. From technological patents to political strategies, his name echoed in the halls of power. His impeccable posture, bespoke suits were like armor for his sharp, calculating mind. That morning, in an elegant Cafe Aurora, the tranquility of a multi-million-dollar contract was about to be broken by an unexpected voice. Arthur was immersed in his thoughts, savoring the fresh breeze that carried the aroma of sophistication and soft citrus. A tall glass of sparkling orange juice set before him, catching the morning light. The $80 million contract awaited only his signature. Everything was under control until a small voice broke the serenity. "Sir, don't drink that." Arthur blinked, his gaze fixed on a small boy who barely reached the height of the table. He couldn't have been more than 6, wearing a worn shirt and dusty knees. His tiny hands clasped in supplication and wide eyes didn't reflect the hunger Arthur knew in certain city streets, but rather a deep fear, something that seemed too big for such a small body. "What was that?" Arthur asked, confused, looking around. The boy gasped, trembling. He took a step forward. "Please, she put something in your juice." Arthur stared at the child. His first instinct was to think it was a prank or a mistake. He looked in the direction the boy indicated. The waitress, a young woman in a dark jacket with vibrant red nails, was already hurrying back to the kitchen. "That woman?" he questioned. The boy nodded vehemently. "She poured liquid from a small vial. She looked around first. I saw everything." A jolt of alarm pricked Arthur. His analytical mind tried to dismiss the story, but his eyes returned to the glass, still untouched. The juice, which had seemed so vibrant before, now showed small bubbles at the rim and a strange density. He didn't touch it. Instead, Arthur stood up, quick and determined. The boy flinched. "It's okay," Arthur said, his voice soft, trying to calm the child. "You did the right thing." He picked up the phone and called his assistant. "Alert security. I need them to cordon off Cafe Aurora immediately." Within minutes, chaos. Security guards appeared, blocking the entrances. Customers murmured, confused. The woman who had served the drink had disappeared. Security cameras revealed she had escaped through the back exit just 2 minutes before the alert was triggered. The juice glass, intact, was sent for laboratory analysis. Arthur took the boy and 2 security guards to a private office. "What's your name, boy?" Arthur asked, leaning in. "Zion," he replied, hesitantly. "Where are your parents?" "My mom is working. Sometimes she cleans the upstairs floors. I stay in the corner while she mops. I saw the woman come out of the kitchen, put something in the glass, and then smile in a way that didn't seem right." Arthur leaned back in his chair. The contract, the juice, everything seemed distant. He observed Zion, small fists clenched, dirty fingernails, the lingering fear in his childish eyes. "You could have stayed silent," Arthur pondered. "Why did you tell?" Zion lowered his gaze. "Because my mom says we should always tell the truth, even when it makes us scared." The lab results arrived 3 hours later. The report confirmed the presence of antifreeze, skillfully mixed with a sweetener. A colorless, odorless, slow-acting poison. A single sip wouldn't kill instantly, but would cause renal failure within hours. A faint on a plane, a car accident, or at home, too late to connect the tragedy to a simple glass of juice. Arthur Sterling, the billionaire master of control, had been closer to death than he ever imagined, and his life was returned to him by a small boy named Zion. That night, Arthur canceled all appointments. He returned to Cafe Aurora, now closed, and asked to find the cleaning crew. There was Zion, holding hands with his mother, Elara Vance. She looked exhausted, her janitor's uniform highlighting a face that carried a quiet strength. As Arthur approached, she pulled Zion closer in a protective gesture. "Sir, I'm sorry if he bothered you." He interrupted, his voice thick with emotion, a rarity for him. "He didn't bother me. He gave me everything back." Days later, the story exploded in the news. Cameras showed the commotion, headlines blared, "Billionaire saved by street kids alert." Arthur never corrected the narrative. He never said Zion wasn't a street kid, just a child forgotten by a system too busy to see him. For Arthur, true heroes often hid in the most unexpected voices. 3 days after the incident, Arthur was in his office, looking out at the city skyline. He had survived corporate wars, political conspiracies, cyber attacks against his empire. But death almost reached him in broad daylight, in a mundane moment with a glass of juice. And it was Zion, a 6-year-old boy in a ripped shirt, who had stopped him. Arthur couldn't shake the image of the boy's face, the fear in his eyes, his trembling hands, the choice not to remain silent, all for one sentence: "My mom says we should always tell the truth." Those words resonated louder than any financial indicator. The following week, Arthur did what he did best. He investigated. He discovered that Elara Vance, Zion's mother, worked multiple jobs, including in his own skyscraper, cleaning offices at night and meeting rooms before dawn. Her last permanent address was a shelter. Now she shared a small room with another family. Elara had no debts, asked for no favors. She had raised Zion with almost nothing, but had given him the most valuable thing: principles. Arthur then did something unusual. He didn't send a lawyer. He went personally. They met in a simple cafe, far from the glamour of Cafe Aurora. Zion held a red plastic toy, clinging to his mother when Arthur entered. Elara immediately stood up. "Mr. Sterling, I'm so sorry. I never imagined." "There's nothing to be sorry for, Miss Vance," Arthur interrupted her, sitting across from her. "I owe my life to you and your son." He looked at Zion, who was staring shyly. "You saved me." Zion smiled, embarrassed. "I want to do something for you," Arthur continued, "but it's not charity, it's an investment." Elara hesitated. "Investment in what?" "In your future, in his future." That same week, Arthur arranged an apartment for Elara and Zion, a safe and clean place near an excellent school. He also established a trust fund for Zion's education, ensuring him options, something Arthur never had in his own childhood. But he didn't stop there. Arthur founded an institution named after Zion, the Truth First Initiative. Its goal? To support children from vulnerable communities who demonstrate courage, honesty, or ethical conduct, especially in environments where the truth is risky or inconvenient. The investigations into the assassination attempt continued. Authorities discovered that Arthur had voted against a corrupt construction project linked to shadowy interests. The masked waitress was presumably a silent assassin, someone meant to disappear. But the masterminds didn't foresee the only person no one noticed: a small, barefoot boy, quiet near a service door. A year later, Zion stood beside Arthur at a private dinner, not as an exhibit, but to inspire. He wore a simple white shirt, visibly nervous among so many guests. Arthur leaned in and whispered, "Just be yourself." Zion nodded, then spoke into the microphone. "I didn't do anything special. I just saw something wrong and spoke up. My mom says the truth isn't always easy, but it's always the right thing." The room fell silent, then erupted in applause. But Zion didn't linger on the attention. He looked at Arthur and whispered, "Can we go home now?" Arthur smiled, a genuine smile. In the following months, Arthur Sterling changed. He reduced his commitments. He visited the foundation schools. He walked without bodyguards. For a man who believed he had everything, it took almost losing his life to discover what was truly missing: connection, purpose, legacy. Zion's story was never forgotten, not for Arthur's prestige, but for the reminder it brought to the world that the smallest voices can unmask the darkest intentions, that a glass of juice can carry death, and that a child's truth can save a life. The force that saved Arthur Sterling was not his fortune or influence, but the unwavering courage of a small boy who simply decided to tell the truth. If this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more soul-stirring stories. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your opinion. Until next time, always be kind, curious, and stay connected with us.